You know, you know, people get excited when they want to see you. So
No,
silence that phone. Put the phone down.
no, no, no. I'm turning the what do you call it? The sound down.
Hmm. Okay. Well, we're here, so
Turn it down. Okay, I'm good.
awesome. We're here.
Oh, okay, okay. Well,
First Sunday. I mean, first day of February.
yes.
And we're here in our own time.
Right.
Aboro boye, aboshishe, peace
Oh,
and endless blessings.
right. Boy, too. Right. This is good to be here. Peace and blessings to you as well.
Ashe, Ashe. Is I Fakolade Umilade Fatosin. I am the author, storyteller, and host of Sacred Waters Healing Temple, the home of ancestral medicine and cosmic rebirth, preserving this here Afro indigenous culture that we have into new ways and continuing to move it forth, bringing it to the waters, to these waters here. And we're diving into a new book that was recently released
Uh-huh.
today by the author, the esteemed author, scholar of the Handbook of Yoruba Religious Concepts, Oloye Ifakerde. How are you?
I am well. I am very well. Thank you. Uh, and I'm just absorbing all the goodness and
Mm-hmm.
averting all of that which is not good. Okay. And that way we can keep things moving. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
you're doing well.
Doing amazing. And speaking
Amazing.
of keeping things moving, you have been very, very consistent with those Awake with Ifa
Uh,
daily doses of elder wisdom and ancestral venerations. And a lot of people have been tuning into that. So I just wanted to give thanks to those who have and just let you guys know that we really appreciate you guys for tuning in to that and just hearing his wisdom of all of these years, all of the stuff that he's pouring into, you know, it's been what 3 months almost. We're coming up on 3 months of our workings together. So it's doing well. And I'm
so,
very happy about that.
yeah, I'm elated doing the Awake with Ifa. See, I'm up in the morning and up at night, uh,
Yeah.
pulling out pertinent information and giving some commentary on,
Mm-hmm.
on a wide range of topics that, coming from and going to
Mhm.
Ifa Sheshe. And with the number of years that I have and the places I've been, and the books, I have a wealth of information.
Yeah.
You know? And they say when an elder dies, he or she or they or them
Mhm.
take uh, uh, a library, with them. When an elder passes on, a library is gone. And I look at that, and say on the surface level, it just seems like books,
Yeah.
because
Right.
books are in a library,
Yeah.
But if we were to use another term that didn't have that connotation,
Hmm.
I would say wealth of knowledge, wealth of experience, you
Hmm.
know, uh, value of of beyond the material,
Hmm.
you know. So yeah, when an elder passes, uh, it's gone. But my whole statement is something's going to be left as well,
Mm,
you know. And that's why it's important that elders work with the generations up and coming, you know, and writing. I've been encouraging people to write down, have, if nothing else, just a little composition book that they write their deep feelings on, and they just have it there for their descendants to read and
Hmm.
see, what life must have been like for their parents, grandparents, great grandparents, you know. So it's important uh, that we do write and or record these days.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
what do you think?
Blessed that we do get to record, because even when you talk to me about your time writing Ojise, how you just pretty much carried a book with you that you would notate things as you was traveling and you went abroad.
Yes.
Like, how else would we have gotten that? Versus today, we have people who stream, who are amazing streamers, whether they start now on a small scale or
Hmm.
they're out with the mass,
Yeah.
viewing of different people that's watching them all over the place. It's
Hmm.
still being documented and people get to see it, and they get to
Right.
see it from different lenses. And so
Uh,
why would you not do that? Why would you not want your life to be documented? You are literally living a legacy. Speaking of that, recently, a lady named Sheila, who was a nonprofit founder that used to go feed the homeless out there in Los
yes,
Angeles,
I heard
she
about.
just recently transitioned. I
Yeah.
wouldn't have never known anything about her had she not been streaming. Unfavorable circumstances,
Yes.
things that are just like, people that want to dismiss it, or
Right.
so many different things that people just simply think that it's just not worth being documented. Like
Well,
someone like her did that. And
yeah, and forgive me. You know, um, uh, in part also, you know, is that people of my generation, you know, and I guess I'm speaking too much from myself and from what I've seen, but we're not, you know, so motivated towards that type of documentation. You know,
wow.
the
Mhm.
street and all, because we didn't grow up with it. Most of your age group, and even closer, like in the 50s or whatever, you know,
Mhm.
they kind of grew up with it. You know,
Mhm.
this people my age, mid 70s and all, we didn't have any of that. Zero. We didn't even see our parents with it. See, some of the younger generations, even if they weren't using it, they would have seen their parents with it. It would have been in how, so it's part of that. uh, This is how we document. Even when I was in Nigeria, and I'm so happy that you spoke on that, and I was journaling, you know, I I felt that I would, if I had a choice, even now, and I do. I think it was you who asked me, you know, a camera. If I had a choice between a camera and a notebook and a pen, I would choose a notebook and the pen because in the quietude, when you're writing, there's something else that happens. But I did share that if I were a photographer or someone who came, I would probably lean that way. So I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm just saying one is better for the individual if they had to make a choice. I would definitely take the pen and the paper because I think I can't help but to say this because I saw being streams since you mentioned it, this big, kind of Obatala celebration going on. Okay, it's in Nigeria, and there were more people holding up their cameras streaming than there were. I didn't see too much of anything devotional happening. You know, it was dancing, drumming, and people taking selfies. and, and I'm like, but when you said this was for Obatala, this was, the assumption was this is a devotional thing. But of course, they were all the younger people, and all the older people were, sprinkling water on on individuals, and then you had the drummers and dancers. But I never even heard outside of a song, no prayers to Obatala, no, no fruit basket at least, nothing. But everybody was up there, They had their cameras.
That's the disadvantage of
Okay.
spirituality. I'm not. I mean, yes, I am on both sides because
Yes.
this is Sacred Waters Healing Temple. There's
Right.
the sacred part. We cannot overlook that. Like
Exactly.
that's the part that people are missing out on. I remember the first time that I was mounted. And it was
Okay.
like, what? There was no moment for me to pull out a camera.
Right.
Nobody had a camera for me at that time. So
Did you write about it?
I don't even really write about it. I just share it like in conversation, like we're having here. So,
Okay. Well,
it's that even when I grew up and being, in the church, I ain't never
mhm.
seen anybody pull a camera out whenever they take off sprinting in the congregation either.
Oh,
So
yeah, yeah.
that
Holy
doesn't happen.
Ghost. All right.
Yeah, catching the Holy Ghost, that
Uh-huh.
doesn't happen. So,
Yeah.
um, there's that essence of like being sacred that I feel like people do miss out on just because they want to pull out their cameras where they could be, like you said, doing their devotions, praying, or actually feeling the moment of things that's happening.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
I just found it interesting. I'm
Yeah.
not being, to all our listeners out there, I'm not being judgmental. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
being observant, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and then decisions have to be made because if that's what you do, I see so many, people they go to Nigeria, they go somewhere and they're taking, pictures of themselves and they're still in initiation
Oh yeah.
phase
Yeah.
and it's on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
could you wait till you had gotten finished?
It's a
But no,
sacred
you want
moment.
well,
Hmm.
yeah, and you know,
Well,
no, well, I'll put it to you like this: when I was doing initiating, we didn't
mhm.
have those moments,
Of course not. And
you know.
so when you like, I've been really sitting with the word isheshe for a while. And so if we doing things in the ways of our ancestors, what would they have done? Now there's an aspect of teaching to that.
Yes, yes, good point.
There's an aspect of just teaching to it, but
Mm,
again, I think that it's aware and when how you present things,
exactly.
just to like, be able to convey a message so
Right.
people understand it without exploiting.
Yes, yes. And as I was saying, it's not like no, you can't take pictures or put your phones in the basket, all that kind of prison stuff. But it's like wait for the time of it. Right now we need to focus on the initiation.
Yes.
Right now, I mean, and even right after, absorb what you just experienced.
Hmm.
So quick to want to run and take a picture. Well, there's time for that a day or
Hmm.
two.
How about whenever the it's Ajubonas or Aluos, or
Yeah.
maybe they're the one who walked them through to go
Yes.
get initiation. What about if they are the ones that took that picture for their keepsake? Not for them to put on social media, because
Then then
that's how my pictures were taken. I was
yeah.
like off guard or whatever. I didn't have
Yeah.
my phone up, taking pictures.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Again, I'm speaking personally. I wouldn't have allowed it. I
Mm.
wouldn't have permitted it
Yeah, that's a
because
care day thing because even Baba when we told Scene, it's like, no, we're not on social
yeah,
media.
yeah. I mean, you're the Ajibona. Shouldn't you be like concerned about something? Can't we take pictures like when this is done?
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
and at the same time, what kind of role modeling do you have going on here? You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. True.
so but again, different people do things differently. And at the end of the day and at the beginning of the day, as
Hmm.
long as there's, sincerity and people are actually cared for and looked at,
Hmm.
then, even in Nigeria, we find, people who live right next door to each other worship differently.
Yeah.
There's no this way, that way, but there is a bottom line. And that bottom
Hmm.
line is, you know, righteousness,
Yeah. Yeah.
mindfulness,
What is the intention?
attentiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and your intention, because there is an old proverb coming out of our ancestral way, and that is good intentions are often not good enough.
Mm, yeah.
So yes, you have good intentions, but you have to show it. And your intentions may be in conflict with someone else's.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know,
That's
so
true. That is true. It's a
yeah,
two-way
so
street.
that's why, as the Olori be, as the head of the compound, or as the Oba or Lua, a,
Mm-hmm.
a precedence has to be set, and whatever that precedent is, and everyone kind of goes with it, then
Mm-hmm.
fine. If everybody wants to stop and take pictures, like with the Obatala devotional setting, obviously the people in charge did not mind.
Mm-hmm.
Because it wasn't just one person with a camera, it was like 50, 60 people, and they all holding
They
it.
all was up there.
Right. So, but, there's a whole lot worse things people could be doing out there in the world.
True.
So I'm like, well, whatever keeps you in your space.
Mm-hmm.
Your space is not harming anyone,
Right. Yeah.
or transgressing, or trespassing,
Mm-hmm.
then fine. I realize I'm in my mid 70s.
Mm-hmm.
They're in their mid 20s.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a different way of looking at things.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, especially when you say that being 20, there's not that many people who was able to access certain information, certain traditions, certain cultures. So the need to be taught, especially coming, I'm from the 90s, so a lot of things were swept underneath the rug or hidden, or you got to work really hard in order to access it. You got to climb certain ladders. There's a hierarchy set, and even to
Mhm.
access certain information, or to even be the individual to help reset something. Let's revise this system of ways of doing things because um, it's not really working.
Okay. Okay.
It's not for the best of everybody involved.
Yes.
So how can we make this different? How can we change or improve this? Well,
Mhm.
some things have to be exposed,
Right.
and I might not live long enough to see it. But for the things that I get to see, here's a picture.
Right.
Here's a little trail. Here's a little carrot. You know,
Yes.
so you can remember, what did Ifa Kolati do?
Right.
How did she do that?
Mhm.
But it's only a few people I know of the 90s, late 80s, early 90s that's willing to do it, because the rest of the 90s don't give a damn. They're not really that.
Yeah. And you've said that a number of times to me. Especially when I share with you, like, I got my first set of Elekes in 1986.
Yeah.
I was scratched in Palo,
Hmm.
you know, like in 80, 84. You
Hmm.
know, so here it is now, 2026, and I have like 10, 11 books
Yes.
based on what you're saying, which I warmly, respect and accept. Those are my snapshots.
Yeah. Hmm.
Those are my pictures that are left behind.
Hmm.
You know, and then a few of them in multiple languages.
Yeah.
So it's a global remembrance more so than recognition.
Hmm.
Or maybe they're two sides of the same coin.
Hmm.
know? The recognition is cool, but there's a lot of people recognized for a whole lot of things.
Yeah. True. And a lot of things that are misinterpreted, uh,
Yeah, yeah,
poorly conveyed, maybe remixed a little bit.
yeah, yeah.
So thankfully,
Mhm,
while we do have some righteous individuals from the late 80s,
mhm.
90s era that are willing to connect with those who have been the true and living, like yourself, like my Ojiboni Baba Omito Singh, those who are really true and living to me, This is
Right.
why it's very important to me to be able to do the things that I'm doing right now with you. I want to be able to make sure I have a, a bridge
Yeah.
to usher that over for some that are seeking genuine, true information for us here in the diaspora. Because you can get up and go over to Nigeria all you want, but they don't live over here. They don't know what we go through over here,
Right.
and it's just different cultures.
Well,
How,
yeah, and there's no guarantee, that you're going to be taught anything.
yeah, because we got to think about the whole process of how long you can even stay over there. If you're not willing to go over there, you know, it's a lot to go in with that within itself. For
So
that's for another conversation. but but
yeah, yeah.
but how you're going to get taught everything if the price is not right?
Well, even if the price is right, because see, those 7 days back in the time before the invasion, you
Hmm.
know, Europeans and all, it was 7 years.
Wow, you could stay over there for 7 years.
Well, that's how long it took to get initiated,
Initiated, yeah, yeah.
you know, and people who were seen to have priestly energies and essence around them, even some from the time of birth.
Hmm.
When the Ikoshia is done, stepping into the world, the diviner would be like, oh, this baby here, okay, she's going to be a priestess, okay?
Hmm.
Oshun is all over her from day now.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so all of the Oshun folks that we're gonna raise her in this manner. So the time she's 7, 11 years old, she's out there ringing that, the brass bell.
Hmm.
But if people came in later, it's like you think about becoming a Shaolin monk or whatever. You go there and you stay there for years learning.
Hmm.
So 7 days, that's really not even the blinking of an eye.
No.
That's just to basically get the something,
Hmm.
whatever that something is that you can bring from the experience.
Yeah.
But that something needs to lend to, and I really love it when you say bridging. You know, how sturdy is that bridge going to be? What goes into the making of that bridge? Because you can have a shaky bridge.
Yeah, true.
You can have a bridge that collapses under a certain amount of weight.
Hmm.
You understand? So you going, with your intent, you know,
Hmm.
you are able to bring back the spirit of the experience.
Hmm.
I was older when I went. I was in my 40s, and I had been through martial arts, yoga, and the training. Had my college thing together and all. And I already been to the continent one time and spent months.
Hmm.
So I had a different, kind of approach. So I brought back something
Yeah. Hmm.
different. Not better, not worse, just different. Pieces of the puzzle. And when we fit them together, we get a better picture.
Hmm.
So, yeah. But what we can do in closing is for people who can't go or don't feel the need to go,
Hmm.
say what we brought back
Yeah. Yeah.
is going to be helpful to you.
Yes.
Okay. Look at Iya Ifakolade. She's doing the podcast. She got everything going on for herself. Oloye, he's got books. Man can't stop writing.
He really can't. If I showed you guys the picture there of him when he decided that he was going to retire, you guys would laugh or something. You'd be amazed. He had a whole stack, a chair full of pages that he did. He hadn't even scanned since we're talking about digital things. He didn't even scan it. He didn't even want to scan the stuff. He's literally reading by paper to create these lessons for us on Sundays and throughout the week. He's
Mhm.
he's documenting it. This is him going back into all of that. and documenting it. But that's why we're here, because
Yes.
we're here to learn and observe things. In the book that we are going to be, we're actually going to go over two books, which is the latest book that he just released, which is Ogbon Inu. It's
Hmm.
the companion of Ogbon, and then we're going to touch a few things from out of Ibon that we out of Ogbon that we actually want you all to understand. So he has things going.
Before we start, did I see a few people?
Yeah, nine. She came back. She said,
Lafayette.
Alafia.
Okay,
Alafia nine.
Lafayette.
How you doing?
Okay,
Yep, she's here with us. And a few people heart love, show some love and some
okay.
in their viewing as well. So
All right.
send you
Oh,
guys love and peace this Sunday. So yeah. So he just released this book here. Let me make sure that I get it on screen in case you guys have not heard. He did release Agban E New, the companion book of Ifa Isheshe,
mhm.
Pragmatism. Pragmatism.
Pregnant.
What does pragmatism mean, Aloye? Because you're really milking this word. I'm not sure what made you put this out. Why do
What?
we need to know what pragmatism means so much in
Okay.
Isheshe?
Okay. Because. Okay. And I'll try to be concise. Okay. Because you know how old folks get when they get a little riled up. You
Hey,
know, it's like because I keep seeing how people get involved with now Ifa Isheshe, and it used to be or Orisha, and used to be Ocha, you know, it used to be Yoruba. I'm into Yoruba, you know. So the names have evolved over time. Back in the 80s and 90s, we didn't see a lot of people calling it Ifa nor Isheshe. Okay.
hmm,
I had heard, but it wasn't like the common, common phrase, and some people would just say ATR, African traditional religions. So granted, the movement was really picking up, you know, um, mid 90s up until now. However, what I kept seeing was greater and greater emphasis on rituals, ceremonies, people cussing and fussing, fighting and cutting each other, okay, behind what was done and who did it and not right. And I'm like, but why is it that I can't fall into this? You know? Because I'm gonna tell you, I went all the way to Nigeria twice and been to Kenya one good time for months, traveled Europe, met with people and museums and studied the culture, you know, wrote papers up for the universities, the whole nine. And then you got Babalawos walking around talking about they don't recognize me because they're so caught up in the ritual. And basically the rituals were coming out of the syncretisms, 99.9%. And I'm like, well, that's cool because I didn't do this for you to recognize me. And you don't recognize me, I don't recognize you. No beef. We're just done, because I know what I went through. I know what spirit moved through me, you know. So I started to wonder over the years and through my development and through the establishment of Iletawolona, the Temple of the Mystic Path, back in 91, ran, ran it nicely for over 21 years, you know. But I started to see where my approach was different. I didn't have a name for it then, it was just carrot eggs and then carrot a nation. But I said, there's something deeper happening here. We're teaching people. We're inviting people to braid this, if you will, lock this, if you will, into their lives and to make it beneficial, not something else, not, oh, alternate states and all that. Even the possessions. If you get possessed, then you sit down and you think about what just happened, and what good was it to you and or to others. You understand what I'm saying? Because I would take on, you understand? But then I would, somebody's child was sick, I'd see into it, and from that, the possession, it would be like this herb, that herb, so it was being helpful. Then I came across this word, pragmatic. And I said, that's the word I'm looking for, because that's what I do. And that's what I feel as though more should be done, right? This isn't a side thing being involved in our faith, in our way, in the way of our ancestors. You know, I think even the word tradition is a weak word. You know, imposed upon us. By the oppressive society. You know, everybody's traditional except them. Everybody's indigenous except them. Even in Europe, it is no. Everybody had nothing. You know, before them. And I'm like, no, no, no. We're going to be pragmatic because that's what our ancestors were. This worked for them. They built empires based on their beliefs, just like the Greeks did, just like the Romans did. You understand what I'm saying? But we're all jumping up and down behind this and that, but we're not breaking free of the cage, you know. And part of that entrapment is that we're not being pragmatic, you know. And we're led to believe, in closing, I did say I was going to be brief. In closing, you know, it is not the way of our ancestors. It is not. But because we don't see their glory, because we don't see them on the media, because we don't see the rippling effect of them on humanity, much less our bloodlines, you know, we see what we're shown and we believe what we're told. And part of that is this is not pragmatic. It's not even pragmatic in a religious sense, because most of the folks who are in uh, uh, Yoruba, and leading over to Ifa Isheshe, they still have heavenly religious type concepts. And we see it in the syncretism, where the majority of people who hold on to some form of tradition, you know, they're all converts to Catholicism. So they don't even see the pragmatic side of their involvement. So then what does it become? It becomes a it becomes a performance, you know? And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, because rhythms need to be, part of every generation as well. But where you gonna go when you die? You know what I mean? What is your grave site gonna say? Your headstone. Who's gonna pray over you? What is your concept of heaven? What's the first image that comes to your mind when somebody says God? So all of these entrapments take away from the pragmatism, how we utilize it in the material world and in the spiritual world. Ashe.
That's layered with so many different things, but Ashe, for sure. Ashe.
Yeah, yeah. And what led me to write the book um, as a companion to Ogbon. So yeah, you can get Ogboni new, but if you don't have Ogbon, it's like you're missing a large part because companion books, which is why I put it right there as a subtitle, is to enhance the book. And when you put the two together, you know, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. So you just don't have two books, you have two books exponentially because they feed off of one another
Mm-hmm.
and they give you more. That's what companion books are designed to do. So I'm like, I don't think there's a companion book on Ifa Isheshe anywhere else. But as you
You
know,
got
the madman of the forest, you know what I
it. Well, yeah, because even some of the really really big books that are laced with all of the odus
mean?
don't have it. Doesn't it just gives you odus in their verses? It doesn't
Mhm.
give you like the tools that go alongside of or how to identify it whenever you
Yes.
see it. So I mean, and when you say pragmatism,
Hmm.
that would go hand in hand
Good point.
versus I don't know, versus it's almost just like whenever people are reading the Bible and they're
Hmm.
speaking and then out of nowhere they just, yeah, John 13 said da 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 da. And it's
Hmm.
almost as if they're like in a competition or, or
Right, right.
just to be able to recite a verse, but
Yeah.
you don't apply the verse. You can't
Uh,
recognize what it means underneath the surface of what that says. You just
yes.
John 3:16.
Right. Right.
Just saying it out loud. So I mean, I believe that's what you mean, right? When you say,
Oh, definitely. You are insanely brilliant. Okay. You
okay,
know, and we have to be insane because sane means we're operating within the norm. And then who sets the norm?
mm,
For the most part, not us.
yeah, no, they've never been about us.
Yeah, doesn't mean that we're destructive, doesn't mean that we're disrespectful. It just means that we have a sanity outside
Right,
of sanity, which
conventional way.
we would say that we're insane. Well, we are insane. Okay,
Mm, yeah,
we are deeply insane. We
hmm
are more sane than the people telling us that we're not.
absolutely, and that's right on facts right there with that part.
Okay. So then I had to come up with Akbani Nu, because Akban is wisdom. Akbani Nu is that deeper, that wisdom that speaks to you through your body.
Hmm
Like something doesn't feel right, you know. I really don't think I should do that. My gut is telling me, you know, but we're not taught to follow
hmm
those inner selves of us. If anything, we're taught to give it up
Yeah,
to God, and give it up to Jesus, and give it up to the Abrahamic thing.
yeah,
But that's not how human beings existed for hundreds of thousands of years before those religions was a twinkle in somebody's eye.
hmm
Okay,
yeah,
so I said, okay, so what better title would go with the companion book than inner wisdom? Because you have wisdom that you can gain from observing the world,
hmm
but then that opens up the portal, if you will, inside to say that you have an internal wisdom
mm
and you know it, but you
yeah,
were never permitted
hmm
to to hone it. You know what I mean? To become one with it. Everybody wants you to be outside of yourself,
mm
you know? And I'm saying that's not what Orumila. is teaching us. That's not what the Orisha are all about. That's not how our ancestors were. Okay. And I like what you said about the Bible verses,
Yeah.
because you know, orally, the tradition of the Ephod priest, and
Mhm.
of course the priest and priestess, it was passed on orally.
Yeah. Yes.
But this is what people don't take into account
Mhm.
nor consideration, is that these individuals lived the culture.
Mhm.
They lived the culture, so it was easier to memorize because it was all around you.
Mhm.
Grandfather knew, your father knew. You understand? Generally, you were a Babalao or an Iyalao because your lineage was that. So
Yeah.
you were around this for practically, literally all of your life.
Mhm.
Now, I remember people saying, oh, women can't be Babalaos. I've heard that for years. But then I came across, nobody told me this, I came across through my studies that yes, women can become Iyalaos. And
Mm.
it started when the Babalaos didn't have sons.
Oh.
They them I had three three girls.
Yeah.
I don't have any sons, but I want to pass this on. It's my duty to pass this on. It's my lineage. It's my legacy.
Mhm.
So they got together and decided that it'll be all right. Well, let's see how she does. And then, of course, you get out there weighing everybody out. So it's definitely, you know, okay. But see, that's pragmatic
Yeah.
because, see, that works.
Yeah. Versus them saying, "Well, let's go sit down and get a reading." No, the child is here.
Yeah.
Let's go sit down and get a reading. No, and see what the spirit says. The child is
Yeah.
here already. So that does work. And you want the legacy to continue on. She's going to
Exactly.
have children, and that'll become a part of her being a mother,
Right.
becoming a wife. Like
Yeah.
it's my right to pass this to my child. Like
Exactly.
for instance, like the classes for Yoruba language.
Hmm.
Um, my girl, her mother is the one that's able to speak Yoruba. Like that's
Hmm.
how she's doing it. Her dad is not there, so
Hmm.
that's the only way that she's able to like get it, the way
Exactly.
that it needs to be done. So she's gonna make it the way, pass it down the way that it's supposed to be. So
Exactly.
versus saying
So,
no.
mhm. So the memorization part um, ca- definitely comes a bit easier.
Yeah,
But for us, we're not brought up with it.
no.
Okay, we go to missionary schools, be they public schools or not. They all missionary schools. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
before that they were called heathen schools. Okay, yep. Before they started calling those schools missionary schools, they were called heathen schools. All right, moving on. So this is what we have, and we have a whole nother way of being educated, a whole nother mindset, not to mention the enslavement and
Yes.
post-enslavement and
Yeah.
neo-enslavement and then colonization and neo-colonization, you
Mm-hmm.
know so it's it's time to find another way, you know and even Arumula states that, and a Warren Meiji to be specifically, that there are bad Babalaos.
Yeah, there are.
Be they able to recite every verse that there is.
Yep.
They are bad, like they're bad preachers.
Yeah.
They could jump up and down and John 13:40, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They messing around. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So Arumila had shared with me, through our commune, that there is another way.
Yes.
Get to know the Odu. Don't try to memorize it. Think about it, and they will reveal themselves to you.
That's yes.
And I did that for years.
Mm-hmm.
And here I am today, you know. The who I am today
Mm-hmm.
is a result of listening, listening, and abiding to the essence of Orisha, to the essence of Ifa, not just acting out the same thing and going about it, the everyday way with the everyday people.
Mm-hmm.
That's pragmatic, you know. So now there's a way to learn the Odu without sitting down trying to remember, you know, 256 Odu in the order that they are, and then, you know, uh, X amount of verses,
Yeah.
but you're still not changing who you are in respect to your legacy and in respect to the pillars or the tenets that Arumila has set down. You know, bringing the world to unchangeable goodness. Ipore Re. He didn't say you had to memorize all these verses to bring the world to goodness. Like I said, most of the priests and priestesses and our woes, if you're doing good work, if you're feeding the hungry, if you're taking care of the poor, I'm working in the school system in the hood. You know what I mean? You know, while I was making priesthood, I just really retired from the job I took after I retired from the other job. But that was how I was making the world a better place, by working with quote unquote disadvantaged students and doing a fantastic job because they are fantastic individuals. You know, they're just tied to the whipping post. Pipeline to prison kind of thing. But that was just as much a part of my priestly endeavoring as having an elay and having temple members and doing initiations, you know? And that's another type of pragmatism. How is your faith working to improve the world? Not how many verses you can memorize, you see? But again, for those who like that and those who do that, I don't have any conflict at all. No internal conflict, no external conflict. It is what it is. Okay. And if it works for you, then you need to work with it. Okay?
Yeah, that makes me think about having inter if I'm using the right word, interpersonal relationships within itself. Like the only way that you really know that you're able to withhold relationships with people is to get out into the community and do the work amongst them. And
Yeah.
so to say that, your elay and the majority of your initiation process was working amongst those children, that's like the best place to work, you know.
Front line.
If you ask me, I hear people talk about going into the prisons.
Yes.
To me, that's an amazing place to start at,
Right.
or individuals who are politicians with it. That's a good place to start.
Hmm.
But because those are places where people, like you said, are impoverished or they're facing,
Right.
their own fights and whatnot. So whenever you're talking to them, you can tell them and show them, like, you remember how you did this?
Hmm.
This is the epitome of
Yes.
Ogbon, or this is the epitome of Agbe or Oyeku or
Mhm.
Iwori or something
Yes.
like that. Like those, this is what exactly what they was talking about. This is going to show you whether or not you did the work. Oh, I
Mhm.
can tell that you haven't been doing the
Right.
work. Let me show you what to do next, and then it sticks with them because that pain is what really helps a lot of information stick,
Yeah.
when going through that process versus, sitting up on a high horse, with your razzle dazzle and your
Hmm.
your
Hmm.
nice gems on, and you're just looking down at people waiting for them to,
Right. Yeah. Bow down.
process, yeah, bow down to you, and
Before you
this is
bow.
it.
Right. No.
This is
And I wrote a piece in Agbani New or Agbani. They all
it. Mhm.
fingers on the hand right now, but it dealt with that high horse, and I said something to the effect that, you know, that high horse you riding on is tired, is weary, and it's ready to lay its burden down, you know. So you get off that high horse, okay? Because it doesn't even want to carry you anymore.
We don't get tired.
So, yeah, the horse is tired. It's weary, that high horse you're on. But there's people who get down with that. I've run across maybe too many in my life. I'm a blah blah, 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 and then, I'm a priestess of so and so, and everybody got to bow down. And it's like, and people tell you, oh, Loye, he's like, get up, man,
Yeah,
because I respect the fact that you respected me,
yeah.
but I need for you to know that there's more to me than that,
Mm-hmm.
more to me than protocol, and respect is something that's over time showing itself. Because you can Fori ballet 1 minute and got a knife in my back the next.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's like, if you're going to respect me, then work with me.
Mm,
Don't work for me. Work with me to build this nation. You know, and show your respect to yourself, to your ancestors, to the Orisha, and to Arumina, and then you will by default respect me.
mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
the I'm the I'm the last person on the list. So what you're bringing, you're bringing your respect and honoring to my position because you respect what I've gone through. You respect what is going through me. You're
Mm,
not just doing it because that's what you're supposed to do.
mm,
And if you're just doing it because that's what you're supposed to do, then I'm not receiving it. I'm
yeah.
good. I'm not. I'm not like that. Like, oh, everybody's bound to. No. Mm-mm, mm-mm.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Did you read my book? What are you learning from the book? You know. Are you gaining? Would you want to take some classes?
Mm,
You know. And let that be your for ballet. Process
yeah.
straight before that,
You're right.
before your own ori, and then everything else will come. You know, everything else will come to you.
Mm,
Even I will come to you.
true.
You know.
Because I know I'm listening to you kind of get a little teary eyed. I know that if I was myself 10 years ago and angry, the way, in the state of mind that I was in, we would never have crossed paths,
Mm,
you know. But it takes a lot of internal work to really do it. And I didn't know anything about the word Ogbon. I'm just
mm,
like, well, I just want to change the way that the outcomes are. That's my inner wisdom. I'm listening to myself. I want to change and I want more of myself. So
mm.
let me see what I can do differently. And
Ashe.
so many different ways it comes about. But everything you said is on point. I
Yeah.
know I wanted to get into some of the old dues that you wrote
Hmm.
about on
Come
on
on.
here, if you don't mind. So I know that I have been in Tawede, and I started my Tawede with doing the Odus daily, but then got busy within the last four of the Odus. But I was still observing it. I just didn't get to make
Hmm.
my lives the way that I started out doing it. But I'm
Hmm.
still doing it, and I was able to consult with you, talk to you about some of my observances. So um, I want to talk about Tawede and the Odus and
Yeah.
how we get to this point here, a part of Akbar, if you don't mind.
All right. Well, we'll cover it briefly,
Hmm.
and briefly in regular time because we get spirited up and it's like, it's been 2 hours already.
They want us here.
Oh yeah. Well, so yeah, Tawede, to be uprooted, to be cleansed, and to be delivered. Okay, Tawede. Okay. So we have those 16 days. And as I shared with you, even if you don't do NOD every day, as long as you're doing the work of Ifani Sheshe, you are doing the Odu, you see? Because life keeps lifing. And as I just shared, we're not in ancient culture. We're 500 years removed, okay, and not just lightly removed. We like enslavement, invasion removed from a tradition that at earliest is 6,000 years old. 6,000. Now we're talking about Ile. We're talking about the reincarnation of the Arumila principle. We're talking about the Odu blossoming amongst the nations and the empires, specifically the Oyo and the Benin of Nigeria. Okay, and their lineage goes back at least 100,000 years, and they keep finding more. Okay, now that along with travel, transcontinental, especially from Kemet and Kush, and exchanges of ideas and goods and lineages mixing together. You know, this is what becomes important when we not only academically study the Odu or intellectually, if you will, but we also feel the Odu. Okay, when I was initiating our woes, it was like you go out into the world for a day or two, okay, and see the Odu in action. Don't divine for it. See it. See it in action, and then jot down, okay, what you think that Odu would be, and then we would all meet together and then double and triple check it. But the exercise, if you will, was to not impose the Odu on a situation, but to see the Odu in the situation, and that helps to again hone your skills as a definer, because now you're seeing more of the culture. Like I stated before, those Babalaos and Ialaos and Olarishas, Baba and Ias, they live the culture. The Orisha were around them all the time. Okay, the philosophical tenets were there not only in their teachings but in their businesses, in their stories, in their travels. See, we are working hard to rekindle that flame, and that's when uh, Tawede came from my Ogboni knew and said, "This is what needs to be taught. You can't keep calling on your ancestors, and then when they come, you don't have time, you know, to see them because you're looking for what somebody else is telling you to look for." Even though you weren't keeping up intellectually, and I say this to you and anybody, as long as you're doing Ifani Sheshe, yes, you are. Okay? Because now you're living it. So, da 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 da. We're going to talk about the meditations on the Odu Ifa. Okay? Uh, let's start with day one. Could you scroll up a little bit? Thank you. All right. Right there is good. The first of the Odui file. Now, what I want to call out is again a revelation, an epiphany. Okay, I'm looking at the names of these Odu, right? Agbe, Oyeku, Iwori, Idi, Irosa, Owarren, Obaro, Kamran. Okay, Ogunda, Osai, Ika, Torpum, Otora, Irete. Oshe, Ofun. And I'm looking at these like been looking at them since 1990, you know? And it dawned on me that these just aren't names of the Odu. They're names of people, okay? And with just a little bit of knowledge of Yoruba, quote unquote, because that's not what we were called before the 1850s, okay? But the names of the Odu are broken down into tonal or syllables. Like that O in Agbe, that O across the board means the one, the person, the individual. Okay. So it's not just Agbe, it's as it was revealed to me, the divine one. And what does Be mean? GBE. Okay. Be means to uplift, support, or elevate. And that's where they got the name Agbe from. Okay. So you talk about praise dancing. I was up here like, oh my God, where are my drums? I can't drum and dance at the same time. I'm gonna stand on top of the drums and drum with my feet. Okay, I was just that elated because who can argue this? You know, this is ancestral. There's no debating it. There's only not seeing it. And then, even if seeing it, being able to recognize it. How long are we going to do this before, the veil comes off? And then we realize that the only key that's, to the lock that's keeping us, in caged and enchained is ourselves. Okay. So it's like, all right, I've not seen this in any other book, any other place in over 40 years. I'm not saying it's not there. Some college theses or, whatever, it might be there. I try to get hold of them too, you know. But common knowledge there for the people, no, no. We need to change that. And we are changing it. So now, when we see Agbe or when we hear Agbe, we're just not hearing, oh, that's one of the Odu. No, we're hearing that that's the divine one who uplifts, who supports. That's the divine one who elevates. That's that's the Odu that came from me, or at least one of them, because we got to remember that Meiji only means twice. It doesn't mean, like two people. You know, it's that person speaking very strongly. So Agbe Meiji would be, yeah, Agbe is here, but that this divine one. Notice I'm not saying he or she or them or they or but that essence is making a firm stand. Okay, so here we have the question of being saved. Okay, being saved from what for what you know and this whole thing about heaven being up there somewhere is really interesting, you know, um, in a upside down, inside out kind of way, because there's a heaven inside of us, and I don't mean that metaphysically. Our bodies are primarily space. I invite anybody to look it up right now. There's more space in us than water. Okay, so we are the heavens. Okay, and those heavens are part of the greater heavens, of the cosmic being. There's no arguing that. It's not just science, it's existence. Okay. So here we have Agbe, and Agbe is kind of, sharing with us that there's really, you know, not that much emphasis, to be placed on um, other people's gods and other people's God, when you as descendants of great civilizations and ancient people have your own. You have your own. See it and then spend time recognizing it. And now spend time with it. Okay? So that's Agbe. All right. Concisely, Agbe states that neither Ifa nor Orishas are here to save us, but as stated in A Place of Nights, okay, what the novel, okay, they are here to help us save ourselves. Man, that rattled some cages, literally. Oh, God is going to save us. God is going to save us. Oh, the Risha didn't save us, or, and y'all didn't save, it's like, no, because that's not the emphasis. The emphasis is on being assisted to save yourself. If your people fall prey to madness, don't blame God. You know, look at what you didn't do. We'll help you, says the Orisha, says the ancestors. But if you empty yourself of yourself, then what's left? Okay. So yes, they're here to help us, not to do it for us. All right. All right. So takes years of hardships before the doors of enlightenment open and we're allowed interest. Yeah, you have to train in this. It's not, going and sitting in the pew. It's called Isheshe for a reason. And Isheshe is equivalent to Ishe, which is, to work, and especially in regards to generations. Warren Ed states that Isheshe is inside of our hip bones, where our generative organs are. You know how we have come from our mothers and our fathers. The DNA that's carried through sperm and egg for countless years. That's what we're working on. Okay, bringing out the potential of thousands and thousands of years that are part of who we are. That there's no denying that. And any religion that takes us out of that is questionable to me. But I'm the Oluo, so these things happen. All right, let's go to the second one. Now, Oyeku is the divine one who averts death. Much to say about Iku, Oyeku. O, the divine one. Ye, as in Oloye, Amoye is philosopher. Oloye is chief, one with understanding. Okay, and of course the ku is from Iku. So what do you have? Oyeku, the divine one who has an understanding of death. And then when death comes in many ways, emotionally, physically, even spiritually. Okay, so Orunmila had come up with the way to avert death, to reconcile with death, okay, to even negotiate with death. right? So here's the pragmatic approach to Ifa ignites the averting of death by means of understanding the part we play in its most tragic of forms. Okay. Are we dying while we're living? You see, bad habits, okay, bad states of mind, okay, twisted, twisted spirit. We're living, but we're dying. Um, one might say self-destructive tendencies. Okay, so Rumula is stating, when this Odu comes, before Yeku is anywhere around, you got to work on that. Work on those self-destructive tendencies. I'm doing my part over here, but you got to do your part over there. Okay, so no senseless death. Yeah, accidents do happen. Um, Diseases happen. Children are born, but so I mean, things happen, but let's not help those things, you know, at our detriment. Abusive relationships, self-destructive tendencies, affiliations with negative people, addictions, etc. Okay. Once we reach the understanding of how we die while living, we may come to see how we can live while dying. We're going to die. Okay. But we can live to the fullest in our spiritual way or in our material way or a little bit of both. But what we're not going to do is die while we're living. We're going to live while we're dying. You see how that works? I choose to live, stated Amina, back to a place of night's war and resurrection. Okay, and the last one we're going to do today, it's been an hour already. Up, go back. All right, Iwari. Okay, Iwari loosely translated means the divine one who searches for their Ori. Okay, you see the word Ori right in Iwari. Okay, and take a little pen and just circle it. Ori. Iwari, the divine one who searches for their Ori. Interpretations will vary, but that's okay. It's to be expected. I'm not here to say that, how spirit walks with me is how spirit walks with everyone. I'm not here to say that my interpretations, are the one and only interpretations, but at least they're here. I'm giving this my best, as if I have a choice, Uh, okay. But what is Ori? What is Ori? It's more than the physical head. Okay. Yeah, we have the Ori Ode, the Ori Inu, and the Ori Ipomri. Okay. Now we're getting closer to pragmatic understanding. The outer head, the inner head, and then that spiritual innermost, okay, channel, if you will, through which the divinities come through. Ori Sha. Ori plus Sha. Okay. So Ori in this greater context is the total consciousness of one's mind, body, spirit, and one's continuously evolving awareness of it. And it kind of floors me that when we go about doing yoga, tai chi, martial arts, or practice meditations, I've heard the syncretism people talk about. Oh, that's not African. That's not Yoruba. And I'm like, please sit down somewhere, okay, and take your ignorance with you, okay. That's not a slight. I'm not trying to start a fight, but you clearly don't know what you're talking about, okay. Of course, we had meditative sciences. It's called Isharo. Of course, we had martial arts. We had soldiers. Okay. We had civilizations. We had people building the largest man made wall ever, larger than The Chinese Wall, the Great Wall of China. We see all that, but we don't see the Great Wall of Benin that the British cannoned for days upon days and then went and raped and pillaged our people. Okay? They tore it up. They couldn't stop. Okay? But it's there. And we know that it's there. So you see what I'm saying? So what do we think everybody was doing? Is it sitting around waiting for the next Ebo or lined up to get a reading? No, folks were living, they were growing, they were spiritualizing. Okay. And everybody had a different way of doing it. There was no cookie cutter, like this way is the right way and how many stones in your pot and blah, blah, blah. It's like people lived this, you know? So, yeah, there was body consciousness. We have physicians and psychologists, engineers, hunters, again, warriors. I mean, what do we really think we were about before, as the last poet say, before the white man came? What do we really think we were about? What is our retelling us? Okay, or are we as repackaged as everything else that we buy into? Hmm. All right. So, meditational practices, internal connecting, psychological self evaluating, and all other forms of inner journeying could come to light. We were doing all of that. The manifestations are as varied as the stars. Okay. But what is of the utmost importance is that Iwari is the path of metaphysically seeing. Yes, the path of the seer is difficult, but we begin to realize that once harnessed, the ability to see, italicize, transforms us and those around us in positive and wondrous ways. Iwari is, in essence, the seeking of the inner eye, which relates to the opening portals, which relates to opening portals to levels of higher consciousness or awareness or existence or Yes. Okay. So I'm going to stop there. All right, and maybe get a little feedback, and then see if we'll move on, because time is the essence, and we'll be back next Sunday. But let's take a moment, Ia, and get your feedback on this to start off, and then we'll get our folks in.
Well, I like the fact that you broke down and said that each of the odus can pretty much you can hear by syllables, enunciations and stuff. I know that as I've been learning Yoruba in the Yoruba classes, is that I do hear a common theme, how they announce certain words. I'm still learning, so I'm not even going to sit here and pretend like I figured it out, but I do hear it. And so when you say like for each one of these three odus you mentioned,
Hmm.
Akbe, Oyeku, and
Hmm.
Iwori, certain
Hmm.
ways to kind of memorize them. I think
Yeah.
that's really insightful for the most part. And I really like the Iwori one.
Uh,
I like that one, but I also like Oyeku always comes up with my daughter. So I'm familiar with that is a very stirring one. So I just really like that how you broke these down to how it is a really good way to observe and practice these odus and bring them into
yeah.
in our daily activities. So
Right. I
mhm.
mean, this whole thing about, oh, well, you're not supposed to know the Odu, and that's what the Bible allows and he allows. Oh, it's so, you don't want to deal with that, da, 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 da. Just come on and, you know, make your elbows and dance and sing, you
It's
know.
very weird. I've always felt cringe whenever, especially being a woman, whenever someone would tell me that I can't see the odus. I mean, first coming in, I had my hand at Ifa, and
Hmm.
King was on my end of my.
Hmm.
And then I had pots. I didn't get, the cowrie shells that other people got. I didn't get OB. I didn't.
Hmm.
That wasn't what I received. I received the OB with my cowrie shells. It was like they had given me both
Hmm.
inside my pot. But
Hmm.
that I was like, okay, okay, nobody's allowed to see them. I'm only allowed to see them. Don't post them. Okay. And then the other thing was, I can't poundy king because I'm a woman. I have to sit beside a man to do it. Yeah, I'm like, okay, but what about my life? I may not ever, sit beside.
Now they said that about the bata drums as well, but now you got sisters coming out of Cuba and they wearing it out. They're not playing. I posted this on
Yeah,
Facebook.
I've
You,
always been amazed by the battalion. Even whenever part of my hand of Ifa, they'll do it required for me to get a djembe. Like I had to get
Mhm.
that. So I had one in the house that I had to play it to my Ifa on
Yeah.
Shea Ifa. It's like part of that. Um, but it always made me think like if I'm not supposed to poundy keen, I have to have a male around me. Then what is it saying about my do? Like am I androgynous or something? What is it
But
saying?
here we go with quote unquote tradition. And traditions are like roads, okay? If everybody's walking the same road long enough, it becomes a tradition.
Yeah.
But there are different roads,
Hmm.
which means there's different traditions. And all of those roads can be in one area. So what I'm saying is that there's no difference. But
Hmm.
I am knowing that to some people there is. Therefore, you and any other person who happens to be a woman, okay, can come this way.
Hmm.
You're going to be respected. You're going to be treated equally, not by me, but by everybody. Because there's some women who will tell you that they shouldn't be doing this and they shouldn't be doing that. So it's not just, how men see it, but how the woman has been uh, miseducated.
Yeah, it's a
But,
woman
but,
too.
but the whole thing is, there's been different schools of thought since
Hmm.
the beginning of time. This is the Cara Day way, okay? We're not going to go out and fight anybody, and we got a line drawn in the sand. Don't come over here trying to mess with us. Because here we have an egalitarian kind of system, and everybody is a reflection of one another. So that's just it says, okay, uh, you and your children are Ifai Sheshe, you should be familiar with the Odu.
Yeah.
Not, oh, the Odu is just for this certain group of old men, who are teaching young boys to be old men, you know.
Hmm.
And I'm telling you, nothing harmful is going to come out of it.
Hmm.
Not by Arumila. Arumila got the name Odu from one of his wives.
Yeah.
And those 16, you mentioned the Bible. Every book in the Bible is not written by a disciple.
Hmm.
There are other people who kind of got hold of it and did their thing. And then Constantine in 325 AD decided which writings were going to go in the book now called Biblios, or the book of the Son, or the Bible.
Hmm.
You understand? So you got 900 submissions, and you pick enough to go into one book. So people were writing about it. So these were like in a comparative analysis. These were like the people who contributed to Ifa's teaching.
Hmm. Hmm.
They were the Odu. Okay. Now the disciples were Akoda and Asheda. They're the ones who spread the word. They're the ones who went out and took the hits. Okay, because not everybody was all down with Arumila in the beginning. He had to struggle just like every other prophet. And there was a system in place before he came about. It was called Ikeju. Okay, and that system had been there for thousands of years. He just upgraded it, like we're upgrading it. You know, because upgrades are necessary. And you mentioned something to that effect earlier. But that doesn't mean everybody's going to do it, you know? But that's not important to us. What's important to us is we're doing it.
Ashe, absolutely.
That's what's important. We're not looking for, the approval. If the Spirit is speaking to us like it's speaking to us, and we're abiding, we're saying, woman, do you, you know,
Hmm.
then go on and do it, you know?
Or they'll,
And
be- or they'll be like, oh, if you're on your menses, then you can't do that. But I'm like, if I sat next to a Babalawo and this Babalawo is my husband, I'm sure that he would love me while I'm on my
I'm
menses.
going to tell you how that came about,
Hmm.
okay? Because, see, it has been stated that one of the reasons for animal sacrifice and the blood is because men don't menstruate.
Okay, so then they're doing animal sacrifice because they don't have the blood in them,
Exactly.
and they're not willing to cut their hands or
Well,
prick their.
some of them do. Some of them do that. You know what I mean? But
Wow.
but that's a total 360-degree for women who have been brought up under the Abrahamics,
Yeah.
where I don't care if they white women, black women, blue women, or purple women. That's what they've been subjected to.
Mm-hmm.
I've had women in their 40s in some of my college classes.
Mm-hmm.
They're all Christianed up and everything. And oh, praise the Lord, we gotta go. No, no, don't be praising the Lord up in here. Okay, you're going to praise your ancestors, but see, this is not church. Oh
Mm-hmm.
well, it's okay what you believe, but let me ask you this: do you really believe because you menstruate is because of a sin?
That's crazy.
Do you really believe that? And every other primate on the planet goes through the same kind of thing. So what? Okay, you're in college. We're going to deal with things intellectually.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm a man of faith, but I'm not going to be fooled.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so when I had conversations and did studies on that, the menstruation part. It
Mm-hmm.
was like, yeah, okay. Oh no, the spirits come and they're gonna feed off of her blood and all that kind of thing. I'm like, you know, I'm having a little trouble with this because there's feminine hygiene happening these days. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So, let's be grown up about this.
Mm-hmm.
This is not, you're talking to a little boy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, no, no, no. I'm like, sis, if your stuff is together and you're together,
Yeah.
you know, then just handle it. And if you start to feel in any way that you're uncomfortable, then you stop.
Mm-hmm.
You stop. You're a grown behind woman. Carry yourself as such,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not going to be checking to see if you on your menses or not.
That is crazy.
But anyway, good people, please bear with us. This is how we get down sometimes.
We have to go there. This is Sacred Waters Healing Temple. We're in an
All
intimate
right, all
exchange.
right.
Not,
Yeah, all
they
right.
better get it while they can before we put it on the membership. Link.
All right. So, did anybody have any comments on the Odu or anything that we discussed?
No, just pretty much on Shay and wow, and
Mm-hmm.
just showing respect and
Showing
love.
love.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
we gotta go to the signatures.
No, we're going to do that next week.
See how
Stay
you do
tuned.
us?
Come back next week. It's been an hour and a half. We're good.
You have a whole you have a whole point. See how you do? Okay.
All right. Well, in closing, I'd like to thank everyone.
And
Okay. Because I'm getting ready to hit the red little box right here.
just leave me. Okay,
No, I'm not going to leave you. You got plenty of time to go.
fine.
You stayed after I left.
He said we're just getting started.
Oh, Rain.
See?
Oh,
See?
oh,
See,
see?
Rain, see? That's what they do. That's what they do.
Yeah.
That's how
See,
they do us.
y'all ganging up on me now. Y'all going to jump me after school, huh? You should have stayed longer. We would stay here all night.
She been here with us though since we've been started.
I love you guys.
Okay.
I love you too much. Too much. It's too much is never enough.
Okay then.
Paradays.
Hmm.
Wild as the wind, as Nina Simone would say.
But
Yeah.
I'm thankful altogether because, just being able to share the platform, be able to collaborate and bring this forth, call you out of the mountain where you always say you're
Ah,
sitting at that.
yeah.
People, he's here, you guys.
Mhm.
I found him.
Yes,
I found
yes.
I found him.
Dragon.
He's been hiding, and he was onto it like three other books, and so I was able to pull him out from under that pad and pen, so that we can get another one. And so the book is already released, and it's on Amazon. If you haven't heard of it yet, links will be in descriptions. You can find it anywhere throughout the page. And also, if you want to get in contact and join a community where we are teaching and learning these things, along with the Yoruba language, along with other practices that
Mhm.
bring you to a grounded aspect of the stuff. And we have lectures coming up. So if you are a part of an ELA and you want to bring this type of teaching to your ELA, you want um, a lawyer to present this and help your family to understand how to understand you file from a pragmatic way, then just reach out to us and we'll be happy to coordinate that in a great way. Okay?
How they gonna reach out to us? Do you
I
have
got
an
the
email?
WhatsApp. We have
Yeah.
the WhatsApp. We have WhatsApp. We have Facebook page. On the Facebook page, you can reach out to us. The phone number is there, I believe. Yeah.
Your email or something?
Sacred Waters Healing Temple at gmail.com. Phone number 559-697-3561.
Okay.
On WhatsApp, or if you want to reach out, call, text. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then we can always find us here again on Sundays at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time.
All right. 4 p.m. Eastern, everybody. All
1
right.
p.m. Central Time.
All right.
All right. Okay. Well, until next time, Odabo, enjoy the rest of your week. We'll see you guys next week.
All right. Take care, good people. No doubt.